True Faces Unmasked is a podcast of candid conversations that explore the intricate layers of our unique identities, worth, and value. I'm Lauren.
I'm Paige.
I'm Kim. Let's unmask.
We were talking about before this mastering one skill. Or in the compound effect. So what, can you refresh what you were talking about with the compound effect?
We were talking about so many things. Hey, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
We were talking about so many different things before Paige was just like, record. We gotta record. Okay. But the last thing we were talking about was the compound effect. So basically what the compound effect is working on something and doing small, consistent steps over a period of time, letting them build and compound. And then, so you're not going to see dramatic results right then and there. It's going to take time. But whenever those, basically when it catches up, all those little things you were doing is going to like snowball. And so one of the things I was talking about is my husband might argue with me on this, with you on me, about me, whatever. Because I like hobbies. I like things that include yarn, and I want to try all of them. But I want to perfect one thing really well. I don't want to do 5,000 things really well. I want to do one thing really well 5,000 times. And then perfect that. And then expand. Because I can't just do one thing.
Sure.
But I want to be really good. What is it? A jack of all trades, but an expert at none.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. I want to be an expert. That'd be fun.
Oh, I like it. I was talking about, so we started this conversation before we started recording, which is why we're in such a rush to record. But I was talking about, I am someone who, I don't know that I 100% agree with the compound effect thing. Like, not to be horribly contrary, but
That's not you.
well, I do like to think about things from different perspectives. But this is so I am someone who has, I don't know, multiple businesses. I don't know how many. 5 or 6, something like that. Okay. And they're all in different realms. Like, they're not all like podcast studios, right? It's not all like that. However, what I've found is that even though they serve different purposes, my role serves the same purpose in all of them. And so, like, I don't feel like I'm doing 5,000 different things. I really feel like, oh, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and that is helping people draw the wealth and the value that they carry out and share it with the world. So whether that's through podcasting and giving them a voice, or if it is through Mary Kay and helping them get empowered and know that they're valuable, which doesn't sound like makeup and skincare, but you wouldn't believe the culture there. It's wild. But any of those things, like, that's what drives me. And so I wind up doing the same thing in all of the places. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't feel like I'm doing a million different things. It feels like I'm doing the same thing regardless of where I am. You know?
Yeah.
And I guess that's why I'm just a little contrary. Mary, quite contrary. I don't know.
Your garden grow?
I was going to say I don't know the rest of that, but I'm glad that you do.
Well, I have toddlers who have nursery rhyme books, so.
Nice.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway.
I think I understand where you're coming from, Kim, but I feel like it still ties into the compound effect because you can master the one skill, but that skill is kind of who you are. You're mastering and learning who you are and how that fits in every area of your life. So you're not really like mastering your podcast skills and then trying to master, your business skills over here. Instead, you're mastering who's Kim, why am I here? What's my why? And then how can I master that in all my areas of my life? So I almost think you've done what the compound effect really wants us to do, which is like define that one thing, that why deeper down, and then spread that into all areas, because you're compounding off of that one to then, pivot into those other areas of life. So I think that's interesting. It's almost like
nice.
It's contradicting, but it's not contradicting.
It sounds contradictive.
It
right?
sounds contradictive.
It sounds like
but
it is, but it's not. It's like yours is it's deeper. Some people I want to perfect my business.
Yeah.
Okay. But yours is a bit deeper than that. So it's able to kind of spread out more.
I think that's probably true. But then also I do learn the skills, but they're just like the fringe.
Yeah.
They're like the outlying things that need to work to make things happen. But at the core of it, I have one certain drive that
100%. Yeah. And I think mine is to help people.
Yeah.
Deep down, no matter what area of my life I'm in, my business, my other career, my podcasting, I just want to help people. So then the fringe would be, okay, well, in my business and Mary Kay, how can I help people with skincare or makeup? Okay, well, my business, how can I help these young athletes feel like superstars? Or in my podcast, how can I touch someone that may be going through the same thing I am? But it's all stemmed from that one core of, well, why do I do what I do every day? Well, it's to help people. So then that ties into the compound effect.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah. But then
Makes me feel a little selfish sometimes then.
You saw it.
Why?
So many people are like, oh, I do this business because I want to help people. I'm like, girl, I want to make money.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's okay.
But why do you want to make money?
For my family.
So you still want to help people. It's
You wanna
just
help my people.
Yeah. Exactly.
But you know what? I think you could dig into that further. Like, why do you want to help your family?
Yeah.
What would that do for you? You know what I mean? I don't think it's, well, I could be wrong. My guess is you don't want to just be Scrooge McDuck.
No.
Scrooge McDuck.
Swim around in your piles of money.
I will do that. But no, I won't.
Right. But
it's not going to stay there.
Right. So is that tool so the money is the tool, but what is it a tool for? You know what I mean? What are you building? Are you building stability? Are you building comfort? Are you building expanded borders? Are you building?
I would say building to expand.
Yeah.
So I know my husband has amazing dreams and I want him to be able to do those. And though that will help people.
See, Lauren.
Okay. Okay. So also, I feel like my why, we're going back a few episodes here.
That's all right.
But
They
I
all
think
tie in.
I think mine is I want moms to find their identity again.
Oh, that's good.
That's what I want.
I'm not surprised by
Wow.
that.
I'm not either.
Because, if you've been listening to me for 5 minutes, that's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that? So you think you're now kind of coming to that understanding, okay, I'm been searching for this why, we're never not searching for our why. I think it changes too through the phase of your life. But right now you're in that space where you're like, okay, I know I have this strong feeling like my why is to help other moms that were in the position I am, are in the position I am, find their identity. How expand on that? Why is that so important to you? Why do you want to do what you want to do through what you do? Why do you want to do and be? Oh my goodness.
Because I know it sucks. It sucks. Especially when you're going through it and you don't know you're going through it, so you don't tell anybody that you're going through it, and then you start coming out of it and you're like, oh, I could have gotten help. That's, So, yeah, that's why it's important, because it just sucks.
Yeah.
And motherhood is doing the most selfless thing. Giving 100% of yourself for someone else who's not going to say thank you. They might every once in a while, but still doesn't ring as much whenever 5 seconds later they're like, where's my snack?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You didn't ask for it. So wait. But yeah, that's why.
That's awesome.
I like it. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm. What do you think your why is?
What is my why?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think it's on a broad scale. I want to help improve humanity.
That's big.
That's a broad scale.
That's broad. That's very broad.
But
It
I
is
mean,
broad, but
yeah.
it's not out of reach.
It's
Yeah.
not.
I'll tell you this. Okay.
Oh gosh.
When I was a kid, when you had sleepovers with
Uh-huh.
your friends and stuff and whatever, you would play silly games.
Mm-hmm.
There was some game we played and it was like, oh, most likely to,
Yeah. Like
I don't have a
yearbook.
boyfriend or like
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Like the yearbook awards.
Yeah.
Most
Kind of.
likely to.
Yeah, but
succeed
it
or
was
whatever.
some game. I don't know.
Okay.
And this was definitely in middle school, maybe even late grade school. I don't know. But I don't know why I remember this. And it surprised me that night. But there was one of them like most likely to change the world. And I got that one. And everyone was like, oh, it's going to be Kim, which was funny because I didn't think anyone saw me that way. I didn't think of myself that way.
Young too.
But it stuck with me. And as I've kind of journeyed on
Mm-hmm.
and kind of dug into who I am and what I'm doing here, I mean, yeah, and people would probably say it's delusional, like it's too big for one person, but I really do believe that if we want to, we can change the world. And
yeah.
I just hope to change it for the better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
even if it is making, how they say when you throw a rock in a lake and
Mm-hmm.
it makes one impact, but then there's all these ripples that
Mhm.
like flow out. It's the ripple effect, right? Like if I can just make a ripple to where at some point it changes somebody's world. Like I don't
Mhm.
even know that I have to change the whole world. If I can change somebody's world, it's still changing the world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah.
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 So there you go. There's my macro.
Macro why change the world. I love that though, because I think we need more people like that. There's too many people that are complacent. Oh, well, I'm just gonna keep doing what I do because if I do what I do, like it's not gonna change anything for good or bad. I'm just doing what I need to do every single day. I'm not involved if things go south, where instead you're like, no, I want to change the world every day I wake up. Like that's my broad spectrum. I'm gonna do what I need to do. And that's how I want to live my life every day. Like I get up, I do what I can do every day to be a better person for me. So then when I lay my head down at night, am I happy with myself? Am I happy with how I lived that day? And yeah, there's some days where that's probably not the case. But also it's like, then that's your inner voice talking back and forth too that we deal with. But it makes me think of this one scenario and I think about it all the time. And it's such a weird little scenario. But a few months ago or something, I don't know, it was during like, we got some piece of mail in our mail. And I like opened it and I read it and it was like, check this. It was for our insurance. It was like, check this to vote for this. Like it was one of those things where if you don't mail it, we're doing an anonymous vote thing to do this with your insurance. And this says you're for it, but we're going to like preside for you pretty much. And there was no reason you had to send it back or do it. But I was like, I already have stamps. I might as well make this person's life a little easier and send one of these back. And so I was like asking my boyfriend, I was like, can you sign this, dude? So like I can send it back to him, make this person's life a little easier. That's all I was thinking. And that made me think of that. Like, he goes, why? I was like, because like if I can make this one person's life a little easier today, that's going to make me feel a little better. Okay. And it's going to change the world a little bit. And I was like, I don't even think he signed it, but I did. And I sent it because I was like the same way. It's like, yeah, that seems so tedious and dumb, but then it makes me think of the time that you had that lady and you answered the phone call with the telemarketer and you actually like talked to her and had a conversation with her.
Yeah.
It's just those little things when, yes, it seems so broad. I want to change the world. I want to change the world. And you get all these negative things back like, oh, how do you expect to do that? You're just one person, But then just really taking all those voices out and doing what you can each day, like smiling at someone and all that. I really do think that makes a ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly.
And a compound.
And a compound. That's, yes, and a compound effect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Because I just don't.
steps.
Yeah, and I don't think we take the time enough in the day to do that, like to check on each other too. Like you texted me the other day, like tell me you were checking in on me. And I'm like, that actually does make a difference. Because right now I don't really know. I feel lost. I don't know where I'm at, what I'm doing. Like things have just been so crazy for so long. It feels like, and I'm 4, so I feel deeply. So I'm like, I feel like I'm in this, like I'm lost, whatever. But then it's like there's someone that still steps out of their way, out of their normality of their day to say, hey, I'm thinking of you. And I want you to know that because you are important. Like that makes a big difference to some people. It does, because there's been times in my life where I was in that dark space and I heard from no one.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can get really dark when you don't hear from anyone, then you don't tell anyone, and then you're still in that space. And then, okay, well, what's the point? Like, who's going to know if I'm here or not? Like, it gets dark and deep. So, with that being said, I definitely think it's important when, like, you do those little things that you think about and you reach out to people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what else I do?
What?
This is like the world's tiniest thing, but for whatever reason, I feel like it's important. I think I have like this whole drive for like, I don't know, humanity. Like we're all part of this same thing. And if we can just connect on that level, I think we could probably let some of the other things fall away. Anyway. When I'm driving and, you know, there are people who stand on the corner and ask for money and they may have the cardboard sign or whatever it might be. Rarely do I have money to give, like especially cash. Like I just don't carry cash. I don't know. It just doesn't happen anymore. And for a long time, and I know lots of people who do this, I would just like kind of avoid eye contact so that I wouldn't have to deal with them. And now I make it a point to lock eyes with them, smile at them and wave or like say hello, just because even though I can't help them in that moment with what they're asking for, I feel like I can still acknowledge them as a human.
100%.
You know what I mean?
I'm really glad you point that out.
Like I don't want to. There's no hierarchy here, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. And so I don't want to lose that human connection and just like be like, I'm not going to make eye contact because I don't want to give you anything.
Yeah.
But I can at least give you the dignity of being recognized as a person, you know?
Yes. I'm so glad you said this because I do the same thing. And I did it again. I love my boyfriend. He's amazing. So I'm not trying to like say he doesn't do nice things. But we were in the car one time and I did that. I waved at this person and he was like, why are you waiting? Like was so embarrassed because he was like, why are you waving? Well, in like high school, I watched this documentary and I don't remember anything about it. But I remember the scene of this one homeless man. It was about homeless, like living homeless. They were interviewing homeless people in and out. And they were like, why don't you get jobs? Like, why don't you do this? And they were, those that were really actually homeless and had no other choice, they said that they lost their like humanity. They lost their dignity because they were like, so many people treated them like they were just trash. Right. They won't look at you, like people wouldn't look at them or they would do who knows what else. But like, even like thinking, okay, because I used to think, why don't they just go get a job? Like they can walk in and interview somewhere. Can they? Because they don't have, like this man was saying like he didn't have clothes. He hadn't had a shower in God knows how long. And so it's like, I can't go do an interview like that. Like they're not going to hire me. And so it's like, dang, when you think about it that way, I still get tedious, but I do that a lot. I started waving at people because he said that, he pointed that out. So then when I think, how can I make some kind of a difference? Because usually I don't have money either, or, you know.
Sometimes I'll have like a granola bar or I'll have like some sort of packaged food that I'm happy to part with or whatever, but I just don't ever have the cash.
But I think smiling and especially locking the eye contact, because so many people, and I know it because I've done it for so long, like you just try to look away and I still feel the awkwardness when I wave, but it shouldn't be. They're a human. We're all struggling, like just because they ended up in that different situation, who knows why, for what reason, if they're choosing it, if they're not, who knows at this point. But it's like, we can at least just be humans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at least look at you and wave. So I'm glad that you pointed that out.
Thanks. You know what else I was thinking of is, you know, in scripture, I think it was Jesus. I think this was like red letter part. I think it was him who said this, like, they'll know you're my disciples by your love, right?
That's a song.
Is
and
it?
They'll know we are Christians by our love. By our love.
I don't even know it.
I'm pretty sure I sang that in middle school.
That's funny. Well, anyway, so there's that whole thing. So I just kind of think also the intention behind the eye contact matters a lot. Like if you're staring them down, like, how could you be there? Like, this is so annoying or something. Like that's going to come across too. But I think I try to, and I'm not perfect in any of this, but I really try to like position myself or like have a posture of like, let me just look at you and send you some good vibes. Like I'm for you. I hope that you're okay, you know, like, and kind of have that frequency of love that I'm trying to send out. And I hope that goes a long way. Maybe it doesn't, but I really hope that it does. And I feel like it's the least I can do as a human. You know what I mean? It's just love others.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
No, I understand. Yeah.
I get you.
that. And
It's the least you could do.
Kinda.
I think it's,
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's so the least we can do to have a positive impact on someone is just to love them.
because I mean,
And
yeah, sorry.
no, it's okay. It's just that's what we're told to do. Is the least.
Right.
Because with God, it's the best.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think it'd be such a simpler world if we got into that, but it's like, I don't know.
I think it only takes just that shift or that intentionality. I mean, it takes one person and then 3 people and then 12 people and then 72 people. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it has to be like some huge movement. Okay, if you do it, then I'll do it. Like if we all just kind of were a little more intentional about it, I think you'd see a huge impact.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
How can you change the world? Like this.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be some big martyrdom or like giving of your whole world. And maybe it is. But it also doesn't necessarily have to be. I think you can change the world by simply loving.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I may not have anything else to give, but I can give you my love, right?
Yeah.
I can check on you and be like, listen, I'm thinking of you.
Exactly.
I love you. I
Exactly.
have nothing else to give. Like
And I
I don't
think
know how else
that-
to help.
I almost feel like that energy, though, helps more than anyone realizes. Like the smile, like the message, just the passing of the energy of the love, I think really does make such an impact. And all I can think of is I'm like, what? I don't really even know where else to go from this because I don't think everyone thinks like us, though. And I'm like, I don't want to lose people because I really think there may be some people out there that really don't think they can change the world or have an impact. So it's like, how do we talk to those people that are sitting here like, okay, I hear you, but I don't think you understand me. Like, I'm not out. I can't change the world. I don't have that ability. Like someone that's in that position, how do we talk to them?
I think maybe you don't want to. You don't have to want to change the world.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
just to show kindness and like extend love, it may change the world. But if that's too much for you to think about or to carry, then don't. It's fine. Just do the one thing.
Do the one thing. The one thing. And we're not going to change the world by ourselves. It's going to take everyone working together for one. So if you're under that mindset of like, I can't change the world, I'm like, okay, well, what's one thing you can do to change yours?
Oh, I was just thinking that. You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah. Like, how can you make your day, or even if you're at that point where you're solo, you think there's no one that cares about you, you're all by yourself and you don't even think there's a point anymore. I think you can sit there. And I mean, it's like, I'm trying to think, I'm like, how can we go down a different path with this? And it's just like, I think the point where I got to where I thought there was no reason why, you just got to find that glimpse of hope, you know?
Right.
Like a glimpse of, if you're about to end it all, why should you not?
Girl.
I mean, I'm like, that's how I'm like, when you're there, what do you think about? And I think what I think about is, okay, if I'm thinking no one's going to miss me, well, then I think one person's going to miss me. I know my mom will. Well, I know my dad will. Well, I know. And then that starts speckling out. And then I think you start bringing yourself back to that reality of then, okay, well, what can I change each and every day? You guys get where I'm going? I'm like, it's kind of hard.
You have to be intentional about being intentional.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be like, okay, I have to like put yourself in a space of like, okay, I need to be intentional, choose to be intentional, and think about a question. And you're not going to just you're not just going to do that all on your own. Like at some point you do have to just choose it. And whether you think it or not, if you focus on improving your world, if that's all you can handle, that's totally fine. Whether you know it or believe it or not, people are going, like, imagine your world. It is a little sphere bubble. You're just walking around in your world. Whether you know it or not, people are going to be walking through that bubble, coming in and out. And if you're being intentional about your world, it's still going to affect the others who come in and out of it.
So
That's
true.
powerful.
I think it's a gravity. If we're talking about worlds, it's a gravity. And so what is your atmosphere like? Is it one of just insecurity and dislike and mistrust and like those kinds of things? Or is your atmosphere carrying love? Is there kindness there? Is there a breath of fresh air in that atmosphere? You know what I mean? I think those are kind of the things that you actually really do get to control, you know? And that's where it's the mindset, it's the posture, it's the position. Like, how are you positioning yourself? And if you're carrying that and people come into your atmosphere, if they enter your gravity within your world, are they going to feel that? And are they going to maybe even subconsciously think, wow, that was so nice to be around that person? Or is it going to be like, whew, I'm glad I got out of that.
Oh, that's good.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, I've been around people like that before where it's like, it's not that I don't even like you. It's just like, sometimes it is like, oh, that is intense. And I that did not make me feel good.
Well, you got your own, we each individually have our own baggage we carry around.
For sure.
And then when you have someone that has heavy baggage but doesn't want to take ownership for it, so they put it off on others continuously. Well, my baggage is heavy. Your baggage is heavy. I can't carry your baggage for you. So you got to understand that too when you're around others and you are in those dark places. Like, you either try to get out or you try to stay in, and it's up to you. And you're also, like Lauren said, like, you're affecting those people around you. So when someone comes to you and it's like, that was a lot, are you that person? Because yeah, we all have our own baggage and we are supposed to share our burdens in a certain, you know, it's almost to an extent though. Like,
you don't share your burdens with everyone who you walk past.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, there are certain people in your circle, and I mean, be intentional about the people that you pick in that circle. Okay, we all have different spheres of people that are in our worlds. You've got the people who are closest to you. You've got the people you've got your tribe. You've got your tribe. You've got your acquaintances. And then you've got, you know, Joe Schmo down the street. And, you know, like, I don't know. Yeah, there's a different level.
You do,
exactly. So your acquaintances, like, I don't know how many layers there are. There's like an official diagram about this or something.
I mean, Jesus did it. He had the 1, and then he had the 3, and then he had the 12.
The burdens are saved for those people who are right there, like your most inner circle. Those are the only people that your burdens are shared with, because those are the ones who love you the most. They're going to want to have the most grace for you. They're going to be in prayer with you. They're going to be willing to walk alongside you. People who are your acquaintances, they're going to be like, oh,
yeah.
So sorry to hear
I'm
that.
so sorry to hear that. And they might pray for you, which is good. But then they're just going to go out throughout their day. Prayer's not saying that prayer is not helpful. Okay. But you're putting a burden on their day when they haven't invested that energy to, in agreement.
Yeah.
To go alongside you.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead, you're just trying to slough some stuff off. I'm like,
and again, it's an energy. So if you're putting out that energy, you're going to be receiving it. Yeah, because I do. Yeah, for sure. And so again, like, when you are continuing to spew out the negatives and all of these bad things that are happening, well, you're sending that to others. Most of the time, people don't want that.
They don't. Yeah, they don't.
And
They don't.
I've found myself, since I've become conscious of, speaking life being within the tongue, I physically feel when I speak negatively now. So the other day,
it affects
oh
you,
yeah,
right?
I said something like, I don't remember the last time I had spoke this way to myself, but I got out of the car and I did something and I was like, I'm such an idiot. And I was like, ugh. And I kind of stopped and I was like, oh, no, you're not. No, you're not. I was like, I just made a mistake. But I was like, dang, that's kind of crazy. Because then I think about when I'm around groups of people, usually on the outer circles, but I still like to be social and I have those groups.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting when you get into those different places how, what's the word? It's like how almost like, all I can think of is like this badge of honor you wear of what you're going through. I'm like, I am so
Right.
sick of
I
hearing
am
people
so
just
tired of
complain
it.
and complain and then complain a different way about the same way they were talking about something else. And again, it's like,
Like, oh, you think what you're going through is bad? Like, oh, girl, wait till you hear about what I'm doing.
yeah. And it's just
Mhm.
like, I sit there and I'm like, I
Yeah.
do consciously try to make an effort to sit, listen, but not
Mm-hmm.
add to it, kind of
Mm.
try to pivot it. But it's hard when you really start. And then that's where those groups of people come around because it's fun to hang out with a lot of those people. But at the same time, it's like, wow, I am carrying a lot of your guys' baggage now just from being around you for a day or an evening, And it's
Yeah.
like, it's just crazy to me to think about that. And that's how, like, the world we live in. And that we have to intentionally, like, almost stop in our tracks, hear what's going on, and then have to try to fix it. And again, that's kind of like where it comes to wanting to change the world. Like, are you being that person that's continuing to add on to that stress, anxiety, or baggage of others? Or are you someone, and again, there's a fine line because you have those inner circle people that you do share your burdens with, but it's not like I'm coming to you saying, oh my God, I got this and this and this and this going on. And oh my God, life is so hard. It's no, like, I am trying to do these things to change, and damn it, things are just hard. Like, things are just hard and I need help through it. That's different than adding baggage onto someone else. So yeah.
I've heard it talked about. I read in a book called Boundaries years ago. There's a difference between a load and a burden.
Mm-hmm.
So the load that you carry is something that is for you to carry, and that is your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And burdens are things that can be shared, and that those who are close to you can help carry with you.
Mm-hmm.
That is not unloading burdens, but that is a combined effort.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing kind of the difference between what is somebody's load and what is somebody's burden
Mm-hmm.
is pretty valuable in setting boundaries, right?
Mhm.
Because if it is for them to carry, like, I don't even know a great example. I don't know, but it's something that they need to take care of. You can love them and support them through it,
Mhm.
but you shouldn't be carrying everyone else's load because you have your own load to carry.
Mm-hmm.
It's those extras, those burdens that you
Mhm.
really help people get through and all of that. And obviously that comes down to relationship as well. But
Yeah.
I think that there is something a little different in those. And
I kind of have like a good example. I feel like
give it, yeah.
so a load would be like, okay, for example, a burden. I mean, a family member passing away. You know, my grandmother just passed away not that long ago. So my burden I now carry is my grandmother passing, but I carry that burden with my family because that was my mom's mom. That's also my brother and sister's grandma.
Yeah.
They also had their own relationships. That's also my dad's almost second mom because they were super close. They grew up together. So, it's like we're carrying that together. Well, I also share this burden with my significant other because, well, he just had a death a few months ago as well. So we're all carrying those. It's like those are burdens. Those are attached to others. But then, if I got fired from my job,
Sure.
that's my own burden to carry maybe with my significant other. Or if I oh my gosh, I can't even think of anything. If I peed my pants like in public, that's a burden I carry. I don't need to share that with everyone around me,
your load,
That's
yeah.
your load.
That's my load. Sorry,
Yeah.
that would be my load. So
That's good.
it's like you don't need to have everyone's support if you pee your pants in public,
I mean, it's true. It's like
yeah.
it's like getting up with your alarm in the morning. It is not someone else's
Yes.
responsibility to make you get up
Wow,
when
that's
your
actually a really good
alarm
example.
goes off, like that really
Yeah.
is your load and you need to be able to be responsible for that.
Mhm.
There is a learning period in that. I don't think that my 8-year-old is going to need to be held responsible for that. She's learning that,
Mhm.
right? But as an adult, right, like that's my load. I can't put that on as somebody else's burden.
Mhm.
Like, no, Jason, my husband, it's not your responsibility to make me get up in the morning.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's a good one because I remember
That's a
I
good
used to blame my boyfriend all the time when I wouldn't get up because he'd turn the alarm off. Well, that's not. I couldn't. At one point, I was like, I can't blame him. I can't blame him because I used to get up at my alarm all the time, and then we started dating 6 years ago, and now I can't. Like, no, that's not his fault. Yes, I understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's a fine line, but it's not. There's definitely I like that you pointed out the boundaries between, okay, your load and your burden. I think it can also tie in together too. A load and a burden can almost be the same thing because I think you can go through something as a burden for yourself and it seem like a load to someone else, if that makes sense. So I don't know if I explained that well, but like, so if a close friend is going through relationship problems or something, well, that is a burden on them. They would share, with their significant other and all that. But depending on who they reach out to, that could become a load you could throw onto someone else if you're
Opposite.
Yeah.
Opposite. So it's your
Okay.
load to carry for the relationship, right? Like,
Okay.
Carry the issues. This is my load to carry. But if you're sharing it with someone because even if you need therapy or you need a counselor or something, that's sharing the burden, right? So then it becomes the burden that can be shared. But sometimes it's something that you don't need to share. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'll just be honest. There are relationship things that happen in my marriage. We've been married for 10 years
Mhm.
that feel like burdens when they come up, but it's still the load that we
Mhm.
just need to carry. And I also know that at some point it could get to be too much and then it becomes a burden and it does need to be shared.
Mhm.
And I don't take that, like, I consider that very heavy. Like, I'm not someone who is easy to share any kind of
Mhm.
load or burden with my relationship because I also don't want other people to think differently just because we're going through something. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of one of the things that happens when you share a load that isn't actually a burden. You know what I mean?
That's good. Yeah.
And you expect other people to take it on. They'll take it on as their own, and then they're going to start developing feelings that you may not be able to rewind because it's already
Wow,
said it
that's
when it
good.
doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yes, there are always issues that come up that can be shared and need to be shared, and that's fine. But
Mhm.
I just think sometimes there are things that are our responsibility and there are things that we share with others. If we go back to the example of seeing the person on the corner with the cardboard box, I think that it is my load to recognize the humanity in them. Like, I think that's my responsibility. I don't necessarily think that it is my responsibility to provide whatever it is they're asking for if I don't have it.
Yeah.
So I'm not taking that on as a burden, but can I just actually recognize that it is my load to acknowledge the humanity?
That's good.
You know?
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also, I think sometimes, like in that situation, we'll see that and we'll feel a pull that, like, there's some sort of responsibility. Like, I guess I need to do something. Like, there's some sort of pull, but maybe we don't need to always make it our burden if it is just our load. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't necessarily have to provide everything.
Yeah.
You don't have to clothe them and house them and do all of those things. Maybe you're called to do that.
Yeah.
I hope you're listening because that's a big call.
I just watched The Blind Side last night.
Right. I love that
I
movie.
love that movie too.
But also maybe it's just to be a person.
Just be a person.
Right. Just like you can show a little love in this moment.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be some physical giving, but it might be.
And it will still have a compound effect.
Yeah.
Like even just that little, you don't have to take it on as a burden if, oh my gosh, I can't give that person money. But you can smile and wave because that little thing, that little load that you carry, you feel as your responsibility will have that positive impact and will expand and multiply.
Right.
So focusing on those little things really, and focusing on the load and a burden and the differences between those, that's important because it seems like I was probably getting them a little mixed up. So it's like maybe focusing on that too, and then focusing, okay, well, once you know those two differences, well, then how can you create that positive compound effect in the world? So start small. Always.
And it might wind up big.
Yeah. It might wind up big.
Sounds like a broken record. Like, just do the little things.
Just do the thing. But that's what it is.
It really is. It comes.
I think things are so much more simple than we think they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We think everything needs to just be this grand old, huge strategic plan. Everything's got to be laid out. Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay, we've got everything's all mapped out. When that's not at all the case. Things are so much simpler than what we make them out to be.
For sure.
No.
Good stuff, ladies.
Good stuff. Well, I hope someone was touched today, and we'll see you guys next time. Like and share.
That's it for today. Thanks for listening. Keep up with us on this unmasking journey by joining us every Friday.
Like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. This episode is sponsored by Podcast Solutions and podcasttables.shop.
As always, we're glad you're here. See you next week.
Boom, done.